Why are some people so good at picking when something feels like AI, while others can't even see it when it's pointed out to them? You know the thing where when you see fetish art, even if it isn't clearly sexual, you kinda just know it's fetish art? You know it's fetish art because of the amount of internet content you've consumed. Basically same thing here. You've watched AI evolve on the internet, so you can spot it easily without thinking. Experience and exposure, just practice knowing what you're looking for. I think some people just are better at visually perceiving processing things. I'm an artist, and I've always felt that I just naturally perceive details that many other people miss. And that's definitely holding true with noticing AI as well. You're probably just a visual person. Perception is fundamentally subjective. As an extreme example, some people will go their whole lives never realizing they are colorblind. People see different things, so they notice different things. Because I use AI, so I'm used to seeing a wide variety of generated images. Sadly, and I think everyone needs to know this, I'm losing the ability to tell. There's a lot of different AI image generators, each with its own quirks. I've only used 4 out of 5. Some better than others. It's improving rapidly. And enough style prompts like 2011 Samsung Galaxy Candid low light can make it very hard to tell. At least at first glance. Sometimes if I don't expect AI usage in the first place, I don't look closely and longly enough to catch them. Someday none of us will be able to tell, and that day's not too far off. AI images always seem too bright, too saturated, and too funky. You're noticing the images you think are AI. Someone that knows what they are doing in Flux will be able to fool you. DALL-E 3 has an intentional AI look to make fakes less of a problem. Flux can fool anyone. Videos, photos, even written AI seem to be fairly easy to discern. If I have any doubts, you'll generally dismiss it as horse ass. They really are not, and I bet if you did a blind test, you'd do much worse than you think too. Over and over on Reddit I see angry accusations of AI art turning into a witch burning, and then the artist posts proof it's not AI. Of course the people making accusations are always super confident because it obviously feels like AI, and I can always tell. It's like any form of literacy. Some people have more skill, experience, and understanding than others. That means they are more easily able to identify traits that are typical of AI, and those that aren't. For someone who doesn't spend a lot of time online looking at images, the differences might not be so obvious. It's similar to someone who is learning to read and write trying to spot errors in a written text compared to a high school English teacher. The person learning might not spot any errors, whereas the teacher might spot 10 in the first few seconds. Intuition. There's also a basic element of variance in individuals' ocular clarity. Not everyone who sees the same image will observe the same level of detail. Details that give something an uncanny valley aesthetic could be lost on eyes that have experienced some degree of impairment over time. You know when you are looking at one of those optical illusions where you see an image one way, and then someone points out a feature on it, and suddenly your brain does a reversal? And then you can never unsee it? For some people it happens right away, for others it takes more repetition and people pointing it out so their brains can flip it. It took me a while of looking at AI images before I started noticing them more easily. There can be a subtle, uncanny valley effect where it is like all the various component parts of a person have been shot through slightly different lenses. So a nose or an arm might be somewhat wide-angle pronounced perspective, while an eye or a leg might be somewhat zoomed-in flatter perspective. But interestingly, proportioned faces and limbs can exist in real life regardless, because they are better than the current AI in the specific field. If you're a writer, you will easily find out when AI was at play. But when you see a picture, you might get fooled. I know I have. It happened here. When you are more familiar with imagery, like a designer, AI text might fool you. Pictures will be easy to spot. AI art now has certain subtle features that gives it away. It struggles with highlights, and the lighting is always too even a gradient. It also struggles with non-consistent details like teeth, hair, and other body features, as the AI knows how to generate ears, etc., but they appear in different positions in the reference data, so it generates them incorrectly. Sometimes spotting these features is a learned skill, and it requires certain experience specifically with AI images which many simply don't have. For me, it's the contrast and saturation that gives it away, but it is getting better. Maybe people who spend more time on computers have a better sense of these things? If the cat washing the baby's hair has furry human hands, it's probably AI.